Call the Common Council back to order. I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Barzak. Here. Chapletsky. Haas.
Here.
Lysick.
Here.
May.
Here.
Ranky.
Here.
Rote. Here. Stefanski.
Here.
Vitale.
Here.
And Weigel.
Here.
That's 10 present.
We have a quorum. Administration and Finance Committee, Alderman Haas.
Mayor Devine, the Administration and Finance Committee met and acted on the following items. Item 26 is a joint referral with Administration of Finance and Public Works, and that item was adopted. Item 27 was adopted as amended. Item 28 was adopted as amended. And items 31 and 32 were placed on file. 34, 35, and 36 were denied. And I move for approval of this portion of the Administration and Finance report.
Second.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Vitale. Is there any discussion? No discussion. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson Barzak.
Aye.
Chapletsky.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
May.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
Rote. Aye. Stefanski.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
And Weigel.
Aye.
That's 10 yeses.
Motion carries.
And item 33 was denied by a vote of 4-1. And I move for approval of item 33, which is a denial.
Second.
There's a motion with a second by Alderman May. Is there any discussion? No discussion. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson Barzak.
Aye.
Chapletsky.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
May.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
Rote.
No.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
And Weigel.
Aye.
It's 9 yeses and 1 no.
Motion carries.
That is all, Mayor Devine.
Thank you. Next up, we'll do the Public Works Committee, Alderman Barzak.
Mayor Devine. I would like to bring your attention to items number 37 through 45 on tonight's agenda. All resolutions were approved by all 5 members of the committee, with the exception of item number 43, that was to place on file. 40 and 41 were communications to be placed on file. I move for adoption of the committee's report.
Second.
There's a motion with a second by Alderman Vitale. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson Barzak.
Aye.
Chapletsky.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
May.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
Rote. Aye. Stefanski.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
And Weigel.
Aye.
That's 10 yeses.
Motion carries.
Mayor Devine, that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Safety and Development Committee, Alderman Lysick.
Mayor Devine, I refer you to item 46 on your agenda. It's a communication from the Village of West Milwaukee regarding a zoning ordinance proposal they have. Communication be placed on file, signed by or acted upon favorably by all 5 members of the committee. I move for adoption of the committee report.
Second.
There's a motion and a second by Alderperson Ranky. Is there any discussion? No discussion. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson Barzak.
Aye.
Chapletsky.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
May.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
Rote. Aye. Stefanski.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
And Weigel.
Aye.
That's 10 yeses.
Motion carries.
That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. License and Health Committee, Alderman Chapletsky.
I'd first like to report on number 47. This was a resolution to sell one of our licensed Hales Corners. It is voted to place on file by all 5 members. I'd like to move for the adoption of this portion of the committee's report.
Second.
There's a motion with a second by Alderman Rode. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson Barzak.
Aye.
Chapletsky.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
May.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
And Weigel.
Aye.
That's 10 yeses.
Carries.
Then we have item number 12 through 25, 47A, 49 through 51. These are various license, summons complaint. They were voted for approval or placed on file by all 5 members. I'd like to move for the adoption of this portion of the committee's report.
Second.
There's a motion with a second by Alderperson Ranky. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And then we have item number 48. This was the license for the bar on 60th and Burnham. It was voted for approval by 4 members and 1 member voting no. I'd like to move for a final part of the committee's report.
Second.
There's a motion with a second by Alderman May. Because it's one less syllable. Any discussion?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Barzak.
I again am going to stay consistent with my reasonings and my voting is, I think when we go over quota, my belief is we need to be responsible and we need to look toward the future and find out what we exactly want these licenses for. There's a reason we have a quota in. When a quota was put in many years ago, it was to reduce the number of licenses because Westalis led the way for more licenses per capita than any other city in Wisconsin. We no longer hold that honor. I know La Crosse has more, and I think Ephraim, I believe it is, or somewhere up in Door County has more, but we're still way up there in the top 5. And reasonable minds came together and said, you know, we need to put a hold on this. As we talk about development in the city of Westalis, and I know it's a vacant building, and I know that's the argument is, you know, something in there is better than nothing. But I always look and say, what are they bringing to the table? Now, I even voted against Chef Paz's license, but they actually had something to bring to the table. They're recognized now as I think they were #1 ethnic restaurant, just voted lately. It's a little bit of a destination. The bar, I'm looking as, we're just putting in another corner bar, and I just don't see what they're bringing, you know, spending a bunch of money, putting in new windows, a new facade, a new dining room. There's just, to me, there's just not enough there to warrant going over quota. We have Alice Yard that spent $132 million. Now, they're going to have a hotel, and they're going to need a license over quota. They're going to have a banquet facility. It's going to need a license over quota. They're going to have, from my understanding, up to 3 restaurants. So they're asking the city of Westalis, as of late, they contacted and said, we're going to be looking at possibly 5 licenses that we're going to need to operate in the Ellis Yards. Then we have the Brown Revision, the banquet facility. They're going to need a license. We don't know how many pubs are going to go into that. There's probably going to be 2, 3, 4, whatever. So you got the 5 over there. You're going to have another 3 there over quota. You have the Highway 100 study tonight. We all sat through it. And one of the visions is to possibly have more entertainment venues on Highway 100, restaurants, et cetera, requiring licenses over quota, which again are going to be massive investments into the city of Westalis. You have the Reunion, $1.5 million. We gave them a license over quota, and I voted for it. I mean, this is substantial. This is bringing something to the community. These are people who took a restaurant that was vacant for over a year, purchased the restaurant, made it extremely successful, and now bought and paid, is going to invest over $1.5 million. That warrants a license over quota. Then we have the Lapham, takes a funeral home that's been sitting vacant for 5, 6, 7 years, investing $1.5 million. That warrants a license over quota. Now we have a person coming in to lease a bar, and by God, we got to give them the license. And I warned some people on the committee, I said, you don't have the nerve to say no to anybody. You don't have the nerve. And I said, there's talk about getting rid of the quota entirely, which I think is going to blow the whole thing out of proportion. Back when License and Health, again, came up with the idea of putting in a self-proposed quota, there was a reason for it. There was a reason to reduce licenses. However, development came to us and they said, you know, we're having trouble developing. Not one license for development have I ever voted against. And I would vote again for licenses that are putting in $132 million, $1.5 million. And these are local people that are doing business in the city currently. Somebody comes in and is gonna lease a tavern, and I need a license. Yeah, we're gonna give it away. We're gonna give a license over quota. How do we say no to anybody else? How do you say no to anybody else that comes in front? Well, first of all, I don't think you have the nerve to. That's my first comment. I don't believe the committee has that nerve to say no. And that's what scares me the most, is that ability to say, you know, we need these licenses. We had the opportunity to get rid of a license tonight to another municipality. We said, no, we need these licenses. We need them for development. We need them for the Cobalt development. We need them for the Bron revision. We need them for the reunion. We need these things. To go and give a license just because somebody's coming in to lease a tavern, I cannot support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any
Mr.
other
Mayor?
discussion on item, Alderman Vitale?
You know, the fact stands that I've been around for a while. So I remember we didn't really physically, it came down the questions of reducing the license, but the fact, the trend back in 1988, prior to that, when the La Charmers closures, many bars were not profiting at all. And that's part of the reason that we went down. At that point, we had about 130 licenses. Now I believe it's 120, 124. But the fact stands that we didn't reduce it. The fact stands that the tavern's business back then, because of the structure of the city based on the business, many industries, they move out. And we lost a lot of those taverns because they were not doing business. That's part of the reason. That's part of the reason. I always said, if you don't give a license to a poor guy that he's investing 50,000 or 25, 50,000 or 75, so we still will have those licenses available for those big developments that we're talking about it. It's not with this regard that we're not able to issue those licenses. But the fact stands, we didn't reduce those 173 licenses. I was here. We didn't reduce them. We just went because the trend of tavern business was a downturn in our community. That was part of the reason. So I have to attest that because I was here and I've been here. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Vitale.
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Barzak?
Just clarification, the Ellis Charmers, those licenses that were over there, the Tractor, the Spot, a couple of those were relocated, and a couple of them, the city bought them out so we could do our first redevelopment and redevelop where the Pick and Save is and the senior housing is on the corner. That was one of our first aggressive moves that I can remember coming on in '88. So the facts are a little bit different than what he's pointing them to. That whole corner there was developed. In fact, I think the last one to stand was a tax guy, and he demanded a lot more money, and he was holding out. Finally, we got him to go, and we were able to redevelop that particular corner. That's the facts on the reason those places left.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Chaplowski.
If we go by what Alderman Barzak is saying tonight, what we're saying to the business community, if you're a small business, if you can't buy your building, if you have to rent, if you have to scrape every dime together you got to try to open up a business, don't come to West Ellis. Don't even try to. Because we only want big business, we only want business that has a ton of money, that's all we want. So I disagree with that type of philosophy, and I think that we should help a lot of small business that could turn out to be big business.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman
Just
Barzak.
to counter that, at no point in my statement did I say small business. I said a bar. I did not say small business. I have supported small business over and over that has come into the city. Not once did I stop a small business from coming in. but this is a corner bar, the thing that we were trying to reduce in the city of West Dallas. And again, I understand you can't say no. I get it. Thank you.
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Chapletsky.
You said no to this gentleman in October, by the way, Alderman Barzak. But
Say no now.
you said is that you've never said no to a small business. But by saying, if you don't have $1 million, you are saying no to them. You can't get a license unless you got $1 million and you can draw in from every place else. So you may not, in your mind, be saying you're not against small business, but in what you say, no small business person is gonna be able to afford to come in.
I didn't know there was a quota on businesses.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Weigel.
this particular applicant is presenting his business plan as a live music venue, okay? He specifically is talking about hiring local bands, doing original music, and then doing popular music, country rock. He's saying he's gonna draw an older crowd. It's not what I would call a corner bar. And in fact, the committee did say no to an applicant for this particular location. I believe it was 2 applicants ago that wanted to put a business in at this exact location. But at that time, this council did not have the tools that we have now. If you remember, I believe it was in December, we enacted an ordinance that allows us to hold applicants strictly to their plan of operation as they have presented it to us and signed and agreed to. So this is really the first time that we're supporting an over quota license with this new tool where the applicant will be strictly held to his business as described.
Mayor Devine,
Thank you, Alderman Weigel. Alderman Stefanski.
I'm voting no because we have a quota that's set, and I feel that we need to follow it. So that's why I'm voting no, just to make that clear.
Any other discussion?
Mayor Devine, I'm sorry.
Oh, Alderman May.
I wanted to point out that the individual will be living above the bar as well, so he is actually taking the building and living there as well. And he is doing the windows, he's doing some exterior improvements, we've stipulated that they must have cameras on the outside and the inside. Can't even open until they're in and operational and given the stamp of approval through the city. So this is a location that really, nothing else has been viable. It's been a vacant corner for a long time. We have turned down a couple of operators because we did not care for their business plan. But I think this one's different in that we do have, like you said, Alderman Weigel, that control. And so I'm willing to give this small business a shot, and if he doesn't follow the license stipulations to a T, he's of the understanding, and as are we, that we can suspend or revoke the license, and, you know, he'll have to live with the consequences. So that's why I'll be voting in favor.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson Barzak.
No.
Chapletsky.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
May.
Aye.
Frankie.
No.
Rote.
No.
Stefanski.
No.
Vitale.
Aye.
And Weigel.
Aye.
That's 6 yeses and 4 noes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next up, Advisory Committee.
Mayor Devine. I direct the council's attention to items number 52 and 54 on tonight's agenda. There's one ordinance and one appointment approved by the committee. I move for their approval, Mayor Devine.
Second.
There's a motion with a second by Alderman May. Is there any discussion? No discussion. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson Barzak.
Aye.
Chapletsky.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
May.
Aye.
Frankie.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
And Weigel.
Aye.
That's 10 yeses.
Motion carries.
That's all, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we adjourn until our next meeting, Wednesday, February 19th at 7 PM.
Second.
There's a motion with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We are adjourned.
Oh, thank heaven.